the climate. In the following minutes, we will explain 13 points about the climate and the climate change. We will begin talking about of the climate. In this point, we will talk about of the formation of the natural disaster related with the climate, the hurricanes, and the interaction of the climate change in their formation. 2. We will talk about of the element of the climate, like the formation of the wind. And we will speak about of the factor of the climate. Do you want to know how works your planet and how we can improve it? Well, we start with the formation of the tropical storms and about the formation of the Haiyan typhoon. An example of the cause of the climate change is the formation of more and stronger natural disasters, like the case of the Haiyan typhoon. This typhoon is formed in the Pacific Ocean because the water in this zone there was at 13 degrees Celsius, and a typhoon is formed because the water evaporates, creating a current of warm air and rise. That do that the warm air leaves a zone with fewer air pressure near the ocean. When the hot and humid air rises and is cooled, the water in the air forms clouds. The whole system of clouds in air turns and grows, fed by the heat of the ocean and the water that evaporates off the surface. Now I go to explain why Europe has got a climate humid and rainy. The air masses that drag the western winds manage to hit with the masses of cold air proceeding from the polar zones and muted them to the being warmer. This ascent provoked the formation of clouds and rains, in a meteorological phenomenon that we call a tempest. In the tempest, it is typical that the air on having ascended carries a gyratory movement, there being formed a warm front that is in the habit of being followed by another cold front. The hot and cold step of the fronts is the one that brings the rains. To continuation, I want to explain how affect the warm air in the configuration of the weather atmosphere. It made possible the atmospheric traffic. The atmospheric traffic is a movement of the atmospheric large-scale air, the way by which the heat is distributed on the surface of the air. The large-scale structure of the atmospheric traffic varies from year to year, but the basic climatological structure remains fairly contained. Individual weather systems with latitude depressions or tropical connective cells occur randomly, and it's accepted that the weather cannot be precised beyond a fairly short limit. Now I go to clear the field that committed the President of Spain, Mariano Rajoy. The President confused the climate change with the weather change. There are two stuff completely differently, because a climate change is a disorder of the global climate, and the weather change is an habitual change in each one of zones of the earth, with their season and with their period of humid and drought. The climate change is the variation of the climate in all the world, the rise of temperatures, the coming up late of seasons, etc. To continuation, I go to explain how the latitude influence in the climate configuration. The latitude influence because in each one of parallels the light of the sun arrives of different form. For example, the countries that there are in the equator have got a tropical climate, and in the tropics there are a majority of the desert in the world. In the poles, since it doesn't come a lot of light of the sun, there are the coldest places in the world. For this, there are ice of natural form, but the climate change, there are unfreezing the cap of ice, and that will carry a big consequences, like floods in coastal cities, collapse of little islands, variable of vegetation in many countries, etc. Do you want to know how is formed the wind? Well, the wind created because at 5 degrees at the north and at the south of the equator is denominated zone calmness. In this zone is when the air is warm up and rise, moving at the north and at the south. The cycle repeats itself when the air cools. This cycle it is repeating in all moments, and the cycle grows coming up to the poles. If there isn't wind, the poles are 25 degrees Celsius colder and the equator 14 degrees Celsius warmer. If I travel in a sailing ship, I travel in line to America and in summer. You is asking, why? Well, this is because the sun calmness is moving at the south in summer of the north hemisphere. In that zone there isn't wind, but in heat is from the air. That is because the unique wind that air is rising. In summer, the sun calmness moving at the wind and the wind return. Now I hope to explain where the pressure influence in the human patternless example how we can improve out the mark of velocity and jump in the Olympic Games. If it have that to organize the near Olympic Games, we'll do it in a site with few atmospheric pressure. Why? Sure you thought that. Because the pressure atmospheric is the force that the air practice on us, and because what measure is the height, less are the resistance that we need to use. So when we are in the depth of a swimming pool, costs us more swim that we are swimming in the surface. Well, to finish this video, I go to explain how is formed the desert of the Sahara. The desert of the Sahara isn't formed like itself. It's formed of a slow form. Before, the Sahara is formed by meadows and had got a humid period, but the humid period was disappearing slowly. When the humid period disappeared, there wasn't rains, and the sun there was more warm. The desert of the Sahara is formed 2,700 years ago. The expedition lead of Stephen Crowley was removed that owed to an abrupt change.